Welcome back to News Geelong on this Friday night. Well, as we tick down the days to the Centrebet Geelong Cup, we have a special preview with Geelong advertiser maestro and tipping guru Ryan Reynolds, who joins Geelong Racing Club Business Development Manager John Dunn for a preview of the Cup, which kicks off on Wednesday in 5 days' time.
Thanks, Mitch. Next Wednesday afternoon sees the running of the 2012 Centrebet Geelong Cup, and an outstanding field has been assembled in what is shaping up to be the strongest cup on record here at Geelong. And joining me to have a look at the big race, the chief racing rider from the Geelong Advertiser, Ryan Reynolds. Welcome, Ryan.
G'day, Danny. Looking forward to Wednesday's Geelong Cup, mate. We know how good the form is, and I'm sure it's going to stand up again this year.
Certainly is. We've been delighted to see that we'll have at least 3, maybe 4 international runners. And these internationals, Ryan, that we'll see assembled next Wednesday, they're serious gallopers, aren't they?
They're serious gallopers. They've got the European form. We've seen them at Werribee already. We know they can handle the way we like to race, and I'm sure when the whips are cracking in the final couple hundred metres on Wednesday, mate, all 3 of them, we're going to be right with a chance.
Well, they will, and the Nationals have such a good record in this race, particularly over the last 2 years. Of course, I speak of Americane 2010, of course, last year. Dunay Den have both won here, and 13 days later have gone on and won the big one, the Melbourne Cup. So the recipe is there for an international succeed again this year.
Absolutely, and we see the Europeans have got to handle the big fields on the Melbourne Cup day, and the ones that we've seen this year, we know that they can take a little bit of rough and tumble, so to speak, and I'm sure that they'll be looking very well in the mounting yard on Wednesday.
It looks as though it won't be a capacity field, Ryan, but we know one thing for sure: it'll be more a case of quality rather than quantity. Whichever horses do finally run in the big race on Wednesday, they'll all have a winning chance.
Absolutely. We see there was 23 nominations released on Thursday, and I'm sure that'll sort of whittle down a little bit, and the punters might have a look at it and think it might be a weak field, but I guarantee you every single horse that will accept on Geelong Cup Day will be in there with a winning chance. Certainly.
Well, let's look at some of the internationals first, and the 3 that we know are definitely coming are, of course, the French horse Tac de Bastron. We have, of course, Brigantin, who's got big raps on him. And the other one is the unlucky runner from the Herbert Power, Gatewood, who at this stage looks like the early favourite for the Cup.
Absolutely. I think if the bookies were putting up their market today, you'd have Gatewood as a pretty short favourite. Absolutely so unlucky last start at Caulfield. Was sort of kicked out the back, wasn't he, just when they were starting to speed up, and Schwadi, another international, went on to win that race, and I'm sure that form's going to hold up pretty well, and that'll see Gatewood right in with a chance, and the bookies probably won't be wanting him to win, I would have thought, because there's going to be a fair bit of money on his back.
He certainly will, Ben. Of course, the important riding engagement replacing Corey Brown is G for Glen Boss.
Glen Boss, you can't go wrong in the staying races with G Boss on your back, and he's always one that you want. Anything over 2,000 metres bossy. He just has a knack of getting them up when they count.
Looking through Gatewood's European form particularly, it's interesting because he hasn't run over great distances. Most of his form is centred around the 2,000, 2,500 metre mark. So it shows that he's probably got a bit more zip. He might have a bit more zip than the other 2. And of course, our big race on Wednesday is over 2,400. So he might have the necessary dash over 2,400 to be very hard to beat.
What I like about some of these Europeans is that when you see with the Australian racing, the stayers, they have to have a turn of foot to win a staying race in Australia. If you're a very dour stay, odds are you're not going to go very well in the races in Australia. And Gatewood is lightly raced. Simon O'Donnell and Terry Henderson have obviously bought the share of him, so they're very good horsemen. They know what they're buying. That all leads to a very good racehorse, I would have thought.
And of course, OTI, of course, Henderson and O'Donnell are going for their second Geelong Cup win. Of course, they won it back in 2007 with Bauer.
So Ryan, very unlucky in the Melbourne Cup. It was the hard luck story of that Melbourne Cup.
Tell me about it. I was on in the Melbourne Cup. I thought he'd won. Looking at the other internationals, we've discussed Gatewood. The other one of interest is has been expected big odds in the Melbourne Cup is Brigantin.
Interesting runner, Brigantin. His form ties in very well with the stunning grey Tac de Boistron. The problem I see with Brigantin is that he hasn't beaten Tac de Boistron the times that they've met, and that's a real worry. They met over 2,800 metres, I think, last start, and he couldn't get the job done, was 5 lengths behind him. 2,400 metres, I think Brigantin will be by the Melbourne Cup distance. Out of the 3 internationals, I'd say he'd be the roughest chance in my eyes anyway.
You're right. Look, he appears to me, I watched him work at Werribee. They had some footage of him working at Werribee with Quest for Peace, I think it was. He was doing his best work on the line. A lot of his races have been over 3,500, 4,000 metres in Europe. He looks a dyed-in-the-wool stayer, doesn't he?
Absolutely. There's no doubt that he's going to run the 3,200 metres of the Melbourne Cup. 2,400 metres, people may think there's not a lot of difference between the two, but I guarantee you when it comes to these sort of staying horses, it's a big jump in distance and it'll really test them.
Yeah, you'd really think that he'll be getting home solidly into the 2,400 metres on Wednesday. Whether or not, as you suggest, Ryan, he's got the necessary high speed to win it is another thing. It's
going to look great for the Melbourne Cup because I'm sure the form lines are going to hang on, so make sure you watch the race a couple times, and even better, get down to the track and have a look at the horses. They're going to be a live chance, and Melbourne Cup Day following on can't get any better than that.
Certainly, we're looking for hopefully 3 in a row Centrebet Geelong Cup winner into the Melbourne Cup. It's Ryan Reynolds from the Geelong Advertiser and myself, John Dunn. Thoughts on the big race, the 2012 Centrebet Geelong Cup next Wednesday afternoon.
Thanks, boys, and I hope a few of those tips can steer our punters down the right way. As we go to the break, be sure to follow us on Twitter at NewsGeelong31 or Facebook.com/NewsGeelong31. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to News Geelong on this Friday evening from the News Geelong Vault. As we move ahead in sport, we're going to stick with our Geelong Advertiser maestro, Ryan Reynolds, who joins Graham Rawlins for a full cricket preview of the weekend's action ahead. They start by previewing the Premier Cricket clash between Geelong and Richmond tomorrow, and Sunday's clash between Geelong and KC South Melbourne, before a comprehensive wrap of the Geelong Cricket Association.
And unusually, we're doing it out at the Geelong Racecourse, where the grass is nice and thick, and I think I'd be bowling on it rather than batting on it. Joining me, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan, it's a great place for a game of cricket, but a first day of interesting cricket in both Premier and Geelong Cricket Association last weekend.
Absolutely massive, mate, and I'm surprised you've dried out. There was a fair bit of rain going around over the weekend, and it caused a bit of mayhem with some of our games, didn't it?
It certainly did, and we look at the Premier Cricket and Geelong playing Fitzroy Doncaster, and after their very embarrassing round 1 game against Ringwood, Geelong were back to try and get some points on the board, and under this fancy-dancy Duckworth-Lewis system, and if you've got 20 minutes to explain it, I'm sure our listeners, our viewers would be able to understand it, but Geelong got up.
It's amazing when you look at the scoreboard, you have to rub your eyes and have a second look how you can score less runs than the opposition and still win a game of cricket, Rollo.
Yes, it was. We saw Ringwood. Ringwood come up with 145, and Geelong response were 942.
Bizarre.
But when they went through because they'd lost enough sufficient time and overs throughout the course of the day, they went back to the matrix table that is outlined in the umpire's reference book. And wham bam, thank you ma'am, Geelong took this 4 points. That's what they get in Premier Cricket for a win. So Geelong have opened their winning account, and of course this weekend, Ryan, a huge weekend, 2 one-dayers.
Back-to-back games for Geelong. It's going to be a great test for them, and no doubt they want to start the weekend off well on Saturday and get a win, and that'll give them so much confidence heading into the Sunday game. How do you see them playing out, mate?
Again, I've been fortunate to watch Geelong for many years, and I think Damien Shanahan will have talked to them very well throughout this week. He'll know what words to say and what schemes and plans to put in play on the field. Saturday, playing the reigning premiers Richmond, it's going to be a big ask, but it can be anybody's game, and certainly if Geelong can get some solidarity in the top order of their batting, I think it can make a significant difference to the total side and the way it performs. And then of course if you get the win on the first day and moving on to the Sunday when Geelong play KC South Melbourne up at Casey Fields, they've had a good record up there. It's magnificent conditions up at Casey Fields because it is like Geelong Cricket Ground. It's a specific cricket ground on its own, and it comes up magnificently. And I'm sure that Geelong can also then carry on with a double header. So I'm going for Geelong to take winning points over both Richmond, the reigning premiers, and Casey South Melbourne, and pick up another 8 points this weekend. What do you think?
I'd love to see Geelong go both times and win both games. I think the first game might be a little bit of a test against the reigning premiers. Maybe there might be a little bit of an upset, and we'll give Richmond the points there, but I think Geelong will bounce back on the second day and claim a good victory on Sunday. In the
Division 1 first 11 cricket, well, rain again and interrupted plasma on the day last week.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a few sides wishing the games are all called off because there's going to be some difficult challenges made, but let's have a talk about one of the most stunning innings of the season so far, and of Clinton Peake, a massive knock, and couldn't be a more timely one. He's in some fantastic form this year.
Unbelievable, but not unexpected from the very gifted Clinton Peake. He came to the wicket at a time when South Barwon were 5 for 38 in their game against St Joseph's. He stroked his way to a century. They left the ground because of weather conditions yet once again. They came back onto the ground, and together with young Alex Ross, who made 80, Clinton Peake finished the day on 167 not out, adding 96 not out to his opening round innings. So he's in absolute superb form, and that 9th wicket partnership between Ross and Clinton Peake certainly added another club record to the man who plays all the strokes in the book, and certainly will be highlighted as one of the great innings of the season, even though it's only round 2. But South Barwon now have got 376 runs on the board up at Russell Zampatti Oval at St Joseph's. Can St Joseph's get the runs?
It would be a stunning comeback, wouldn't it, if they were able to get the points after chasing over 300 made. It's going to be a tough task. You wouldn't want to be in the top order for St Joe's because they've all got to fire this week. There's no doubt about that one at all.
They've got to fire, and they've got to fire against a good, strong, consistent bowling attack. Phil Halbish, of course, Hornstein is, well, he haunts them all the time. He's at the batsman time and time again, and I think that the South Barwon attack, nice and solid, will contain St Joseph's. It's easy enough to say that now with 376 runs on the board, but who knows, maybe Daniel Fanning will come out with another big blaster. In the other game between two unbeaten sides, North Geelong and Highton, looks at an interesting stage with, I think, North Geelong making 141 and Lara resuming at no wicket for one. So we have to see the Lara Cats, can they get another 141 runs against the North Geelong Magpies?
Interesting game at Leopold. It's going to be hard to say. They played on the Sunday, so the conditions were a little bit better. They didn't have that extra wet wicket, but geez, it's going to be a tough chase, isn't it? At 140, it's one of those little sticky ones. If they can get a couple of quick wickets, there's a little bit of doubt just slowly starts to sink into the batsmen's minds, and yeah, it's game on there. I reckon quick wickets will be the key for Leopold.
If they can get into them nice and early, but I'm going to stick with my old mate Roger Allen and the North Geelong Magpies. I think the black and white boys can see it through in a tough game.
Now it's time to have a look at the Bellpost Hill game. Interesting way this is going to head out. Rain obviously caused a lot of mayhem out there, and they're just going to be sitting down and batting, aren't they? They're going to be looking forward to just sitting out there all day and making everyone work for every run.
And that's an important point. I think we see Bellpost Hill. They're going to resume at 3 for 66 against Geelong West, and Geelong West, of course, the reigning premier. And the tactic will clearly be for Bellpost Hill, because of the conditions and the fact that it's a game that has now reverted to ordinary conditions, they can bat all day and stay there all day and keep Geelong West bowling and bowling and bowling. They do not have to declare, they don't have to give up after a minimum number of overs. They are going to definitely bat for as long as they possibly can, and that will then put the pressure back on Geelong West. And when you look at the Geelong West batting lineup with the blasting Buchanans there, you're going to have a very disciplined batting position from Bellpost to Hill in order to be able to save the game. But Geelong West, they're a damn good side, and really I can see them really putting themselves back into this game.
Well, I think that's the key, isn't it? Because Geelong West is such a good side, Bellpost Hill, what do you do? I mean, you can't really be too aggressive because you know they can chase down the run, so you wouldn't want to declare and get a bit of egg on your face. So the option is to bat the whole day, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I'll make it clear in my mind there is no way known Bellpost Hill will declare. They will bat until that final wicket falls, and then the cards will be with the Geelong West Rams.
Newtown and Chewell in Highton. Now that's a very interesting game, isn't it, mate? Newtown and Chewell 8 for 240. Not a bad first innings total, and Grovedale got a bit of a chase on their hands.
The two Blues, Newtown and Chewell, they did well to get to 8 for 240, and against the Highton Heat, who won their first game and are looking forward to maybe winning 2 in a row. I don't think they're going to be able to be up to it, because Newtown and Chewell have got a very disciplined attack. Brian Thomas has done a terrific job coaching Newtown and Chewell down at Queen's Park. And although I think Highton Heat will look back on the start of the season as their moment of glory, it's certainly going to be a good one for Newtown and Chewell. And I think the real big question is, can Newtown and Chewell not only win this, but maintain then winning momentum and become a strength again in the Geelong Cricket Association Division 1?
Exactly right. And having a look at the other game, East Belmont and Geelong City. Geelong City 116. What did you make of their innings, mate? And where's that game set?
Well, I thought East Belmont did very well to work on the Geelong City Sharks and getting them out for 116, and I really think that East Belmont should be able to go on.
It's going to be a big weekend of GC1 cricket, I would have thought, mate.
It's going to be a big weekend of summer sport, yes. Geelong Premier Cricket, with Geelong playing Richmond, the reigning premiers, on Saturday, and Casey South Melbourne on Sunday. And then, of course, the second day's play of round 2 of the Geelong Cricket Association through each of the divisions, with, of course, the highlights coming in Division 1. And we'll return next week on News Geelong with another sports report update on our great summer game of cricket.
Welcome back to News Geelong as we turn to the world of motorsport and head out to the Avalon Raceway, where the Avalon Raceway kicked off its first race meeting of the summer series with the $10,000 Sprint Car Invitational, won by David Murcott, the Queenslander, taking the chocolates. We have an interview with him, plus the highlights.
Go for the Jackpot Invitational, 10K to win. Fari gets the best start. Murcott to second. Dennis Jones goes by lines for third in the Sprint Car Jackpot Invitational, and David Murcott has done the unthinkable. Robbie Farr desperately trying to chase him through turn 4, but David Murcott wins.
This is my only chance, and boy, you couldn't have scripted it any better.
No, for me not. For Robbie, not so good, unfortunately for him. But you know, yeah, that's as soon as we got caught the lap car, I thought, well, this is probably my only shot. Hopefully, he hesitates and you know, leaves a bit of room somewhere. And unfortunately, got hooked up with him, and you know, we finally got this race in twice in 4 years, and it's, you know, well done to the Drew family, and you know, they stuck at it. The track, after being resurfaced, is pretty good. It's very sticky, and probably not making good for a lot of passing at the moment. But you know, it was a good start for you know, for our team, and good start for the new Eagles too. It seems pretty nice.
I thought Fari made a decisive choice there of outside. I thought that was the place to be, and it proved to be at the start as well. Were you a little disheartened when he put you on the pole?
Yeah, definitely. I thought I had the box seat on the outside there, and because I knew it was a little bit greasy on the bottom. You know, nobody's won a start on the bottom all night. So, but you know, like I said, sometimes you just got to be patient, and if things are going to go your way, they do.
Unique format. You got to get your head around it to start with, and just be consistent without being brilliant, and then lay down a number in that time trial. And you and Fari did that in difficult circumstances throughout the night.
Yeah, you know, well, like our starting positions weren't you know, weren't stellar. We were middle of the pack, and we got caught up in our first one, and they dropped right to the back. But hey, that's all you got to do. You just got to finish where you need to finish, and then you know, try and get the car to roll around pretty good for a good time trial lap.
Mate, I look forward to seeing you on a number of occasions here before Christmas, and maybe thereafter as well. Thank everyone that helps you down the road tonight on picking up 10K.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good bonus. Thanks, Dave and Lorraine Horrell, for giving me another shot this year. I really appreciate what they do for me. They give me first-class equipment. Mainline Dynalog dynamometers are here again. Thanks, Andrew, for another year. Mansell's Car Carriers, Eagle Chassis, Scotty Inglis. You know, again, giving us another great motor. This one's even better than it was last year. So, you know, we definitely can't complain about a package. Oval Express, you know, Vortex, Warrnambool Locksmiths. Everybody that helps the team, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Alan Ryan, for coming out in the cold and wet tonight. I'm sure Mum didn't really feel like bringing him out, but I'm really glad they were here.
Mate, awesome performance. Enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you through the rest of the year.
And thanks, Dave Sharman, for putting together a great car. You know, he's done a great job. The thing looks absolutely sensational, and you know, as usual, he's done a first-class job, and we've got a first-class team.
Thanks, David and Gavin White, for that interview. That's all we have time for sport tonight. Be sure to catch us next week, and hope you enjoy your weekend of sport, wherever it may be. Now it's over to you, Rollo.
Thank you, Mitch. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you again next Friday night with your sports report. And now to the weather for Geelong and the Surf Coast over the next 6 days. A very important 6 days. Cricket of the weekend, Geelong Cup next Wednesday. That's how it looks. Tomorrow, Saturday, will be partly cloudy with isolated showers late in the evening with a top of 22. Sunday will be cloudy with isolated showers and a top of 17. Monday, partly cloudy, isolated showers during the morning with a top of 16. While Sunday, we start to turn the corner. It'll be nice and sunny on Tuesday with a top of 22. Wednesday, a little cloudy, maybe some patchy rain, also a top of 22. Great day for the Cup. Thursday, continued cloud with patchy rain and a top of 21. Today was partly cloudy with light winds and a top of 25. Thank you for being with us on News Geelong this evening. Always great to have your company. To Mel Savage, wonderful lady out here at the Geelong Racing Club. Thank you for looking after us so well today, Mel. And remember, take your time and smell the flowers. To all our viewers, you have a pleasant evening, a safe weekend, and a very good night.